Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today our topic of discussion is the theory of consumption. So mainly we'll focus on Fisher's theory of intertemporal choice. Intertemporal choice between present and future consumption. But before that, we have to discuss about the background. So background starts from the first is the Keynesian theory of consumption. So Keynesian theory, what we see that according to Lord Keynes, the consumption function is given as C equals to A plus BY, where C stands for the consumption, A stands for, A is called autonomous consumption, B stands for marginal propensity to consume, and Y stands for national income. So this is a relationship between national income and aggregate consumption of the economy. In this case, A is called autonomous consumption and its property is A greater than 0 and it is a constant. B is called the marginal propensity to consume. So if there is one additional unit of income, how much of it will be spent on consumption? So B's property is it is greater than 0 but it is less than 1. So this B is called marginal propensity to consume. And now what is the APC? Average propensity to consume is the total consumption divided by total income. So income consumption per unit of income. So it is given as A divided by Y plus B. So B is constant. So what we find here, as the national income rises, A by Y will fall. That means average propensity to consume will fall. So this is the theoretical part. Now we come to the Kuznets finding. So Kuznets made an observation on the data of 60 years regarding consumption. And Kuznets finding says that there is the consumption average propensity to consume that is constant. So consumption is a steady function of income and average propensity to consume APC is constant in the long run. So there is a difference between the theoretical foundation and empirical finding. This difference is known as Kuznets puzzle, consumption puzzle. So later on, the economists tried to solve the Kuznets puzzle. And the most notable work, there are two works. Number one is the life cycle hypothesis by Ando and Modigliani, and another is the permanent income hypothesis of Friedman. But this both hypotheses, those were based on mainly the work of Irving Fisher. So now Fisher's theory of consumption, it is basically a theory of intertemporal choice. The intertemporal choice of individuals regarding the present consumption and future consumption. So we see that the income, how the income of a consumer is disposed of any current time, any particular time. So if we are considering the T, YT, time period is T and the income is YT. So YT will be what? Current consumption plus current savings. So this current savings, so we can write YT minus CT equals to ST. So this current savings is the source of future consumption. So from here what we can find, if we increase the current consumption, that means we have to sacrifice the future consumption. And if we want more future consumption, we have to sacrifice the current consumption. So there is basically a trade-off between current and future consumption. So what we see, what did Fisher say? The one rational individual, he will make his consumption decision on the basis of his current and future period. That means his rational and forward looking behavior will determine his current and future consumption, and that will determine the pattern of the trade-off. Now what we'll find that we have to find out that one individual's preference is to optimize his current as well as future consumption. So from here what we see, there is the consumer also has some limitations, so which is called the budget constraint, because we know that one individual's consumption is always limited. He always consumes less than what he desires, because every one of us has one constraint, that is the income constraint. So if we consider our lifetime consumption, that is constrained by our lifetime income. So that's why if we consider that consumption is dependent upon the resources available. So what are the resources? Definitely, if we consider the current period, these resources is our current income plus our future income. So we can cite that our resource mainly depends upon two things. Number one is current income, that is YT, and our future income, that is YT plus 1. Why I am doing it YT and YT plus 1? Because according to Fisher, we can divide the lifetime of a person in two different periods. So YT is the youth or current period, and T plus 1 stands for the old age or the future period. So we just remember that if we consider our current consumption and future consumption, if we consider our future consumption, so future consumption is what? CT plus 1, it will depend upon two things. Number one is YT or YT plus 1, future income, plus ST into 1 plus R. So if we consider that R is the rate of interest. So current period saving, the value of current period saving will be ST into 1 plus R. So this is our this is the relationship between the current savings and future consumption here. Second thing, we must remember one thing, that any times the savings equals to YT minus CT, current income minus current consumption. So if this CT can be equals to YT, that means there will be no savings. That CT less than YT, there will be positive savings, and CT is greater than YT, which we call the TIS savings or borrowing. That means there in this case savings 0, this case savings positive, and this case savings negative. So savings negative means borrowing, and in future we have to repay the borrowing from our future income. So in this way we can measure the savings. We can relate also the current consumption and future consumption. So now we will come to the intertemporal budget constraint by using the consumption function, current consumption and future consumption, current income and future income. So just we come to the first, we start with the future consumption, CT plus 1. So CT plus 1 equals to how much? YT plus 1 plus ST into 1 plus R. So just here Fisher's assumption is that rate of interest will be same for borrowing and saving. So from this equation, what can we write? CT plus R equals to YT plus 1. This ST is nothing but the yt minus ct into 1 plus r. So from here, what can we write? Ct plus 1 equals to yt plus 1 plus yt into 1 plus r plus minus ct into 1 plus r. So from here, what we can write? Ct plus 1 plus ct plus ct into 1 plus r equals to yt plus 1 plus yt into 1 plus r. So see here, this equation shows the relationship between the relationship between current consumption, future consumption, current consumption, future income and current income. So in other words, we can say this indicates the relationship between lifetime income and lifetime consumption. So this is called the budget constraint. And if we divide both sides by 1 plus r, we'll get ct plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus ct equals to yt plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus yt. So see here, if r is the rate of discount, that means ct plus 1 divided by 1 plus r, this indicates the present discounted value of his future income, future consumption, and this ct is the current consumption. So in current period, we are measuring the current consumption plus we are measuring the future consumption and it at its present value. So we are discounting it. So similarly, yt plus 1 is called this yt plus 1 divided by 1 plus r is the present discounted value of future income and this is the current income. So what we see, present discounted value of future consumption plus current consumption, present discounted value of future income plus current income. These two sums must be equal. So this is the budget constraint of the consumer. So this is called the intertemporal budget constraint. So as the rate of interest is positive, so that's why we have to discount the future value or into present value. So simple thing is that the value of $1 will be higher in future, higher than $1 in future. So see, in the same way, the value of whenever the value of $1, future $1, that will be converted into present value, it will be definitely less than $1. So now we can draw the budget line by using this equation. So in this horizontal axis, we measure current consumption. In the vertical axis, we are measuring the future consumption. So our equation is Ct plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus Ct equals to Yt plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus Yt. So now we have to find out these two intercept values. So horizontal intercept means Ct plus 1 equals to 0. So what we can see? We can see that Ct equals to Yt plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus Yt. So what is the significance of it? Significance of it is we are not consuming one person is not consuming a single penny in the future, a single dollar in the future. So what we do? In current period, he will borrow. And how much borrow? He will borrow the present value of his present discounted value of its future income. So he spends the future income right now and this is his current income. So we can write that this intercept, if we consider OB equals to Yt plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus yt. This is the horizontal intercept. And what will be the vertical intercept? Let us consider Ct equals to 0. So we can write Ct plus 1 divided by 1 plus r equals to yt plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus yt. So Ct plus 1 equals to yt plus 1 plus yt into 1 plus r. So in this case, what do we see? That consumer vertical intercept means first Ct is 0. Ct equals to 0 means the consumer spends his entire income or saves his entire current income for future consumption. So yt is the current income. In future period, if the rate of interest is r, in future period its value will be yt into 1 plus r, and this is his future income. So that indicates what? The total future consumption will be future income plus the value of current income of future with the rate of interest that the consumer earns. So what we see here, if OA is the vertical intercept, so this is the budget line. So OA indicates yt into 1 plus r plus yt plus 1. So if we join these two lines with the straight line, that is a budget constant. And this budget constant clearly shows that whenever your current income and future income, these two are constant, if you want to consume more in the current period, you have to sacrifice your future consumption. And if you want to consume more in future, you have to sacrifice your current consumption. So this is a trade-off. What we see here, higher value of future consumption indicates lower value of current consumption. And if we move here, so if we increase the current consumption, we have to sacrifice our future consumption. So there is an inverse relationship between current and future consumption. So this is called the intertemporal budget constraint of the consumer. And now we'll come to the slope of it. What does the slope of budget constraint indicate? So we start from the budget constant, Ct plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus Ct equals to yt plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus yt. So if we do the total differentiation, what can we write? dct plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus dct equals to 0, or divided by 1 plus r equals to minus dct. Minus 1 plus r. So this is called the opportunity cost of present consumption in terms of future consumption. In simple words, if we want to spend $1 additional in current period, how much we have to sacrifice, how much future consumption do we have to sacrifice? The simple thing that just let us consider that the rate of interest equals to 8%. So if I save $1 today, or if I save $10 today, so tomorrow what will be the value of save $10? It will be 10 into 1 plus 0.08. So it will be 10.08. So what do we see here? That if we spend $1 today, if we save it after 1 year, it will, in the future period, it will be 1 plus $0.08. Sorry, I have made a mistake here. So it will be, if we consider $10 in current period, in future will be 10 into 1 plus 0.08. That means 10 into 1.08 equals to 10.08. Similarly, if we save $1 today, future I can consume $1.08. And if I spend $1 today, that means in future I am sacrificing $1.08. If we consider it that 100, so 100 into 1 plus 0.08. So in future, if I am spending $100 today, in future I am sacrificing $108 in future. Or if I save $100 today, after in the future my saving I can spend $108. So this is the indication of the slope of the budget line. It indicates, so if we, that means if we sacrifice the current consumption by $1, how much dollars we can spend in the future. So now, if there is an increase in income, so first we will consider the changes in the budget line, under which situation there can be change in the budget line. So first, if we consider if there is change in any, either of the current income or future income. So what we see, if there may be rise in YT or there may be rise in YT plus 1. So just see the budget line and the intercepts. So horizontal intercept is YT plus 1 divided by 1 plus R plus YT. And vertical intercept YT plus 1 into plus YT into 1 plus R. These are the horizontal and vertical intercepts. So first thing is that its slope is, the slope is given by 1 plus R. So unless there is no change in R, the slope will not change. So what will change here? If we see if there is a change in the current consumption or the current income, or there is a change in the future income, there will be just rightward shift of the budget line without any change in the slope of the budget line. And now if we consider there is a change in the rate of interest. So again come to the budget equation, that CT plus 1 divided by 1 plus R plus CT equals to YT plus 1 divided by 1 plus R plus YT. And look at the budget equation once more. This is YT plus 1 divided by 1 plus R plus YT and YT. So, if the rate of interest rises, so what will happen here? So first see, what did I say? If I save $1 today, 0.8% is the rate of interest. In future, I will be able to consume $1.08. Or in other words, what we see, if I spend one additional dollar today, so my future consumption will decline by $1.08. So just now think about the rate of interest rises to 10%. So what will happen? We will find that tomorrow I have to sacrifice $1.1. So that means what? My opportunity cost of current consumption will increase. So that means to spend one additional dollar in the current period, I have to sacrifice higher consumption in the future period. So that means the budget line slope will increase. The opportunity cost of current income, current consumption in terms of future consumption will increase. So in simple words, what we see, given the yt plus 1, if r rises, the denominator will increase, then the vertical in horizontal intercept will decline. So similarly, if r rises, what we see, yt into 1 plus r rises. That means the future value of present income will rise. So possibility of future consumption will rise. So we will see that the budget line, there this type of change will be the budget line. The horizontal intercept will shrink and the vertical intercept will expand. Or in other words, the maximum possible current consumption will decline and maximum possible future consumption will increase. So this is that there are the two change. The budget line can change under two situations. Number one, if there is any change in the current income or future income, that time the budget line will shift parallelly. And if second thing is that if the rate of interest rises, the budget line will become steeper. So similarly, by the similar logic, if the rate of interest falls, the budget line will become flatter. So that time what we will see, the vertical horizontal intercept will rise, but the vertical intercept will fall. So we can show it also by an example and by the diagram. So let us start with the example that initially rate of interest is, we start with the same thing, the 8%. So that means $1 saved today will give $1.08 tomorrow. Or just the opposite, if we spend one additional dollar today, we have to sacrifice the future consumption by $1.08. But if it falls to 0.6, then $1 saved today will give $1.06 tomorrow. So that means the opportunity cost of current consumption in terms of future consumption will decline. So similarly, if we spend one additional dollar today, so tomorrow's we have to sacrifice $1.06 tomorrow. And now the diagram, just look at the diagram. So here yt plus 1 divided by 1 plus r plus yt, and vertical axis yt plus 1 plus yt into 1 plus r. So what we will find here, if r declines, here the denominator will decline. That means the value will increase. And in this case, what we see, 1 plus r will decline, so the value will decrease. So we will get this type of shift. The budget line will become flatter because the current consumption becomes relatively cheaper in terms of future consumption. And now the final part, the preference. You see here, one thing we have to understand that the both current consumption and future consumption, because both are consumptions and both are like the normal commodity. So utility function will give as utility of CT plus 1. So from here we'll get the indifference curve and we'll get the standard indifference curve, because this type of utility function, it follows the 4 axioms of preference: the axiom of transitivity, axiom of completeness, axiom of non-satiety, and axiom of diminishing marginal utility. So this type of utility function follows the 4 rules for axioms of preference, as well as we will find the standard indifference curve, in which we find the 4 properties: the downward sloping indifference curve, higher indifference curve indicates higher level of satisfaction, 2 indifference curves cannot intersect, and the indifference curves are convex to the origin. So we will get there this type of standard indifference curves. The standard indifference curves that gives the consumer's choice between, or the preference pattern between, present and future consumption. So in the vertical axis, just like the budget line, in vertical axis we measure the future consumption, and in the horizontal axis we measure the current consumption. And here the slope of the indifference curve that gives the marginal rate of substitution between t plus 1. So which is given as mu t divided by mu t plus 1. So here marginal rate of substitution that indicates the amount of future consumption that the consumer is willing to sacrifice to consume one additional dollar in current period. So marginal, that means the its slope indicates how much future consumption is the consumer willing to sacrifice to consume one additional dollar in the present period. So this its slope is indicates the marginal rate of substitution or the choice of the consumer. And we know that the equilibrium level of current and future consumption will be determined by the consumer's equilibrium. So what we see here? We see here that this is the budget line. This is the budget line. This is the indifference curve. So Ct plus 1, Ct. So here what we see, this is the equilibrium. So this is the equilibrium level of current consumption and this is the equilibrium level of future consumption. So what we find here, that Keynesian theory was talking about the relationship between current consumption and current income, but Fisher's theory extends the consumption function to the current period and future period. So what we see here, there is a relationship between lifetime income and lifetime consumption, and here by using the utility maximizing behavior, we find the individual's intertemporal choice, that means his optimum choice between present consumption and future consumption that maximizes his utility. Given this value of YT, so given the value of YT, current income, YT plus 1, the future income, or rate of interest, these three determine the shape of the budget line. So this indicates this is the constraint. The consumer spends his entire income in his entire life, and given this budget constraint, this is the maximum level of utility. We know that the consumer cannot move beyond this and consumer will not stay in indifference curve below it. So this is the final equilibrium which is derived by the consumer's utility maximizing behavior. So not only utility maximizing behavior, it is there is a case of forward looking behavior, there is a case of trade-off, there is a case of constraint, and there is a case of maximization. So this is the case of constraint utility maximization of the consumer between his current and future consumption. If you like it, thank you. If you like it, please share, subscribe and like. Thank you so much.